Hello, all, and welcome to Middle Age Geeks. My name is Phil. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host Daz. Daz, what's the story?
I'm good, man. Lamenting the end of our Irish summer weather, but I'm off to Spain tomorrow, which is fantastic news. How about yourself? What are you up to?
Yeah, not too bad. I am off to Spain in about a week and a half. So yeah, it's
Yeah.
fleeing the shitty rain and getting away to somewhere nice. So to those of you at home who are new to the podcast, we are primarily a movie review podcast, and the meat of it will be a spoiler-free review. This week it's the Phoenician Scheme, and Daz is going to take us through that. But beforehand, we'll have a little bit of news that's jumped out at us, and then a little bit about what we've been playing and watching. So, news-wise, Daz, what's jumped out at you this week?
Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning made 63 million the US opening weekend, and 200 million worldwide, which is a series high for the franchise. So people, despite our review, people have been going out to see the movie.
That's good, man.
Yeah, no, it's great. Like a series high and like Tom Cruise was saying, like to get your series high box office takings for the 8th installment is something else, and rightly so. It's a fantastic franchise, and should make another one. But in other news, Christopher McQuarrie was doing some press for Mission Impossible: Final Reckoning, and he said he himself and Tom Cruise have been going deep into planning, hopefully for the Les Grossman movie, and we chatted about that a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
like, come on, let's make it happen. But I didn't know Chris McQuarrie is directing that as well. But he said, they're trying to work on it. But he said Tom Cruise is, and he said very serious about fucking making it. So I was like, oh yeah, like Ethan Hunt is retired now, so let's get Grossman going. Like, does it mean it's going to happen? No, but all these fucking fingers are crossed for that because, bring that on. And other news that I had that is actually, you just told me 2 seconds ago, which is not true. Superman runtime was reported 2 hours and 2 minutes. And I was like, oh, no way, I want 2.5 hours. But you just told me about 10 minutes ago, James Gunn came out and said, no, that's not even true.
No, it got spread everywhere. Like there was posters of
variety
saying,
and everything.
Yeah, they was saying that this like the summer superhero movies like that and the Fantastic Four have both have runtimes over 2 hours. But then someone asked him, and James Gunn replied directly saying, "No, we're only finishing up some of the VFX this weekend." But he said no, that runtime is definitely wrong. So whether that means it's longer or shorter, I don't know. But the runtime of 2 hours 2 minutes isn't correct, apparently.
Yeah, it's a shame because that would have meant more daily screenings and more chance for me to see it on opening day. I plan on watching that 3 times at least opening day. But based on the trailer, it's probably about fucking 4 hours long. How about yourself? Any news jumped out at you?
Not really a massive amount of news. It's got, as I said, to fit around our schedules. We're recording this quite close to when we recorded the last episode, so not a massive amount. I did want to say I very much enjoyed the short trailer for One Battle After Another, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie.
Oh, played before the movie.
Yeah. Just like DiCaprio, Del Toro, Sean Penn, like it's a cool cast. It looks like it's going to be quite funny. I love DiCaprio when he's doing funny roles. It's just he's brilliant. But so I'm looking forward to that. And then another thing was about the new Spider-Man movie, because there was rumors of Hulk. I think was almost pretty much confirmed Hulk was going to be in it. But now he's going to be in it, but for quite a sizable role. Like he's going to play a decent part rather than just a little cameo. So I wonder, because there is that thing, wasn't there? There is a thing in the comic where the Hulk remembers Peter Parker. You know what I mean? Because whereas everyone has supposedly forgotten who Peter Parker. Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and who Peter Parker is. But yeah, Bruce Banner forgot, but the Hulk didn't. And it would be cool if you're going to get that scene recreated. And I suppose it's cool for him to have that connection. That somebody remembers.
And I wonder with that movie as well, since the Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars were both delayed, that now Spider-Man that's now the next movie. Well, the first movie of next summer. And I wonder, will that be delayed? Like, does that take place after, Avengers Doomsday? And if so, or is it self-contained or something like that? So it's interesting to see if that will change its release date depending on the other movies. But yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah. And I like that. That's it. There's nothing really else news wise. So with that out of the way, what about what you've been playing and watching? Is there anything being new, bar the finale of The Last of Us?
Well, I actually didn't get to see that, which was a
Okay.
little bit annoying because Ali has headed out on holidays before me with the kids, which left me all alone, shock her at home. So I've been playing some games, but we were watching that together. So I'm going to wait till I get out to Spain to watch it.
Okay.
I've heard good things. But yeah, playing wise, just getting stuck into a bit more Doom and finally got the dragon level, which is pretty fucking badass. That was quite fun. And then just started that level 6, that kind of open world level. Yeah, really digging that game. It's nice. It's nice to just dip in and not play an open world game for once, where you can just play a level and kind of
Yeah.
go,
It's good.
level or two, and there's half an hour, and I'm done. But what about yourself? What have you been
Yeah,
playing
well,
and watching?
continuing on, I played a little bit of Doom. I kind of like, because I said making sure I get all the secrets and all the things, and they make it very easy to get them into. They pretty much tell you where everything is on the map. And so I've got every health, every ammo upgrade, everything so far. So I'm pretty beefy. Like I never, I don't think I can remember the last time I died. I mean, because I'm able to take on pretty much anybody who've got guns are upgraded to shit. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
so yeah. So I feel like a bit of a badass. All right, but so yeah, I'll probably finish it and then start it on a harder difficulty.
Mm.
Um, the then yeah, watching. As I said, I watched The Last of Us, and I played a little bit of Zelda. Because I was called for jury duty, so I was waiting to see whether I was selected or not. I was like, fuck this. I was there all day waiting for my name to be called. So I just said, I'm going to bring something with me. So I just sat there playing Zelda and finally got called after 6 hours of sitting there.
Oh, wow.
And then, but I've watched Until Dawn. That was the only new thing I watched, which was, I think that even might still be out in Irish cinemas, which is obviously a screen version of the video game. It's terrible. Yeah, it's really shit. Like some of the deaths are great, and like some of the deaths are really, really great. Like some shock kind of explosions of people, which I just always find hilarious. And they're really well done. Some of the deaths, but the acting it goes at its best. It's mid. That's at its best.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's really, really poor. Like Peter Stormare is in it, has a small enough part in it, but he's definitely obviously the standout. But the young cast that are in it, I've not seen most of them before, and they are shocking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not really worth a watch.
Is it
but
scary?
That's no, Jesus, no. It's the it's more annoying than anything else. Like I was pissed off at them all. You're like, I'm glad you're going to die all over again.
Oh, God.
Because that's the whole thing, it's to try and survive, and then the clock gets reset. But yeah, so you kind of enjoy seeing them getting killed. But yeah, that's it. I think because of the gap it's so short between this episode and last episode, this is quite a short opening, I think, for those two sections, right? So look, without further ado, why don't we move on then, as we said, to the main section, which is the Phoenician Scheme, Wes Anderson's new movie. And Daz, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Yeah, The Phoenician Scheme, the latest movie written and directed by Wes Anderson, starring Benicio del Toro, Mia Trippleton, I think that's how you say her name, and Michael Cera. And the supporting cast, as always, with Wes Anderson films, is ridiculously talented bunch of star-studded A-listers, including Tom Hanks, Bryan Cranston, Willem Dafoe, Bill Murray, Scarlett Johansson, Rupert Friend, Jeffrey Wright, Benedict Cumberbatch, Riz Ahmed, and Richard Ayoade. It's incredible. So yeah, this movie is action-packed with wonderful stars, and it's suitably bonkers. But is it any good? We'll get into it. So first we'll go through like a brief-ish synopsis of it, and then we get your thoughts, Phil, and we'll dive in. So the plot follows Benicio del Toro, who plays Zarzar Korda, a ruthless industrialist and a business tycoon and arms dealer, who, after a recent assassination attempt on his life, starts to think about his mortality and legacy, and he decides to leave his entire estate to his daughter, Liesl, a nun, of whom he hasn't seen in 6 years, played fantastically by Mia Trippleton. Court has a master plan, a grand scheme to overhaul the infrastructure of Phoenicia, and some forces try and stop him from achieving this. And accompanying them on the way is Michael Cera as Bjorn, a Norwegian entomologist, and the movie follows their journey together as they try and achieve this master plan. And yeah, so is it any good? What did you think, Phil? You just saw it just today, right? You're just out of it.
Yeah, I saw it today, and I guess I've been thinking about it since, about because I enjoyed it, but at the same, it's definitely missing something. Like I think the performances are incredible. Mia Threepleton I thought was fantastic, and I think everybody who's in a Wes Anderson movie, we've talked about him before. We know he has this flat pay rate. And so the people people still want to work with him. People always want to do a Wes Anderson movie because of the experience, because of his vision. There's his style is so unique to him, and he's excellent. And so you're always going to almost know what the characters are going to be like, if you know what I mean. It's all very snappy and stuff and quirky and wonderful. The thing is with this, compared to, say, other projects, I didn't feel really emotionally connected to anything. I enjoyed the performances, but despite the fact that this is Benicio del Toro and, you said, his kind of estranged daughter, there's not really that much of an emotional connection I didn't feel between them or between anybody. Really, I didn't get that from it. Whereas you think of something like the Royal Tenenbaums, there's so much in that. There's so much from, like, he gets career bests in some of these movies from my perspective. Luke Wilson, that's the best performance he's put in my opinion, in that movie. You see what's it called, Ralph Fiennes in Grand Budapest Hotel, one of his best performances for my money. Like you can see some of these really standout stuff, and yes, the performances are great, but I didn't get any really big emotional feels to it. It's, as you'd expect, visually stunning. It really is. I was laughing out loud at some of it. Really, really good. I would have loved to see more of Tom Hanks and Bryan Cranston together as, but it's I think it's let down a lot by not really having that kind of emotional connection to it. It just felt more, quirky for the sake of quirky a little bit at times. But like some of the ongoing gags throughout it were hilarious. The help yourself to a hand grenade thing was fantastic. I loved that. I did enjoy it though. I think as far as I know, I think there has been a fair few people panning it and saying it's not good, but I did definitely enjoy it. I thought it like an hour and 40 minutes. It flew in. I think I'd watch it again just because I enjoy the visual spectacle of a Wes Anderson movie. What about yourself?
Yeah, I was wondering how you would feel about it, because I saw it yesterday. I've been kind of thinking about it all day, trying to ascertain what exactly my feelings were. Like I didn't dislike it, but it was like I liked it, right? And then I was kind of going, I did, didn't I? Because I think it's like this movie is the sum of its parts, and just that. There isn't a kind of cohesive whole to it that, as you're saying straight away, like it's the story, just I didn't connect with it at all. Everything in it I really enjoyed, but it's it's a throwaway movie. But I don't think like when I was looking through my notes, I had to, like, at certain parts I had to go on Wikipedia just to find bits that I completely forgot had happened in the movie, because it's the cameos, it's the characters, it's a scenario, like everything you go to see a Wes Anderson movie is in here. It's the audacious sets and production design, the costumes, and like the ridiculous ensemble of A-list stars over and over and over again. And Wes Anderson is in that amazing place where when he writes a script, like Michael Cera was saying this on the Empire podcast, he was saying, just like, when you get the script sent to you with the character that you're going to be playing, like, it's not that he's gone to 5 different people and he's written it for you, because he knows he just gets everyone he kind of wants, which is wonderful. But it's the weird and wonderful world he creates is here. It's like that off-kilter, hyper realistic settings and all that stuff. It's great. I love that you shoots in crazy aspect ratios all the time. It's great. The central trio are wonderful. I don't know how Michael Cera has not been in a Wes Anderson movie before.
It feels like he's made for it, isn't it? Like,
To be in it. Yeah. But yeah, the performances are great. I just didn't connect to it as well, like as much as I'd hope. Even though when we get into some of the spoilers, when the kind of Benicio del Toro's arc is kind of revealed, and it's still, it just doesn't hit as much as it should, given that those characters are really kind of cool characters. But yeah, it was just, I wasn't really that interested in the central story. Like the premise is great, and it's quite a bit messy, and I thought some bits were funny, but other bits I didn't think were that funny. Like there's chapter cards updating us on the percentage of different people's stake in this in the funding for his project, and I'm sure Wes Anderson thinks maybe that's funny or something, but I was like, it's just not that it was confusing, but it just was not that interested in that. But right, yeah. I loved everything around it. You know what I mean? It was constantly. I think I like Wes Anderson movies for the visuals, and a lot of this was just, I was loving everything I was seeing, but at the end of it, I don't think I'd remember too much about it in a few weeks. Does that make sense?
Yeah. No, I get it. Like, I think a lot of, Wes Anderson's movies have very, a lot of it is about loss, and there's death in most of his movies, and a lot of it is about loss, and it's about family and those relationships between them, and there's always that kind of bit of heart or that bit of emotional thing that's at the center of it. But this should have been him and his daughter, and everything that goes, the journey that they go on. It should be seeing that change and blossom, and we get an emotional payoff at the end of some kind of the two of them together. Whereas that just wasn't like as amazing as performances as the two of them were putting in. I just don't think the parts were written, or the movie's written, to give them that emotional, payoff and connection at the end. Which was, it's a pity, because I think that I did really enjoy the movie. But again, it's probably because it's the style. The style is incredible, and it's one of those things where even if the movie isn't fantastic, you can still go, that was amazing to watch. A lot of people say may not be, like Alex Garland, for example. If you watch movies that he's made, even if you're not a massive fan, it's Alex Garland's made the movie, and it's going to be visually stunning. There's plenty of directors obviously like that, be it horror, sci-fi, anything. They'll have their own stamp, and straight away. And Wes Anderson movies are just, they're a joy to look at, but it just felt a little light on substance,
Yeah, well, I think like it's almost like they're event movies now, you know what I mean? Or it's just like a new Wes Anderson movie, exactly what you're saying. They're like an Edgar Wright movie or Coen Brothers or something. You kind of know what you're getting in terms of the package. There's a distinct and obvious style and vibe to it, the way those movies are made. But I think especially with Wes, it's like he's the embodiment of the term auteur, like, and it's like the masterful framing, and it's almost like hypnotic at times, mechanical, meticulous movement, and just the blocking of it's so exact. And a lot of people before, like, well, someone I think in the run up to this movie were saying that they didn't know, like, if Benicio del Toro, like, is his acting, going to suit something like this? I read something online, but it was like, because they were saying that you don't really, because the blocking is so precise and the camera movement is so exact, like sometimes you are on the fringes of the frame, and you have to, it has to be in a certain way. There's not much kind of latitude to kind of go off kilter a bit. But I think his acting is perfect for this, because he's very stoic, and there's maybe not a lot of movement to his acting anyway. So he kind of thrives in this. But yeah, the dolly moves and the crash zooms and pans and tilts, and it's just glorious to watch. What
did you think of the, obviously we have an opening scene, but the credits above looking down, overhead view.
That's my favorite scene in the movie.
Yeah, like the the credits filling in, with the tiles, the exact shade and everything was just like,
Exact shade, exact
yeah,
tone,
and
everything.
just
Yeah,
yeah, and it's just everything, it's static because your eyes aren't immediately drawn to Del Toro, who's the star, because he's on
mm.
one side and then the other side is a nurse, and that because your eyes are moved. I was just moving all around the screen. It wasn't being. I didn't feel a focal point.
Yeah,
Really, it was just, which was great because it was like, oh wow, that's cool. Oh, look, and we'll follow her and do this. There was loads of this lovely, there was loads of just gorgeous looking stuff on the screen at once. Kind of going, God, this is just the opening credit scene, and it's beautifully done. Yeah, really, really like that.
yeah, like that was my favorite scene straight away. I mean, like when you get opening credit scenes, but then like before the fact that it kind of opens with the assassination attempt, and it's much more bloody than some of his previous movies. Opens literally with a bang. But yeah, I just thought that was fantastic. And just when you talk about sets, and his lavish sets are always fucking fantastic. Like Grand Budapest Hotel is just mesmeric fucking film to watch. But when you get the kind of plane crash in this, and it's just you get that full set in the cornfield with the plane wreckage and stuff, and the camera just dolling along the entire fucking wreckage of it. It's beautiful in this day and age that you have somebody as wild and weird as him that still makes movies like this. Kind of like 30 years on. I mean,
Yeah,
like I was reading that like his like Bottle Rocket, like what, 29 years ago, like his budgets are generally around 25 to 30 million. They kind of double, what the budget they make back double generally. But like Bottle Rocket was like cost like 5 million or something and made like 500 grand. So I don't know how the fuck is Wes Anderson still making movies. But like, yeah, I just think I love most about this movie is I think that it just exists, and that he keeps making these movies and never flinching or conforming to like what we kind of see in modern industry trends with um franchise movies and VFX movies. We still have this guy who's making big screen movies just like he did
yeah,
back in the day, and that's
and
amazing. Like,
studio involvement. We see that
yeah,
so much where you're kind of going, oh, or
mm,
an artist or director or whatever it is, that you can kind of go, it feels like they've compromised a little bit there, or
mm,
that's maybe not the ending they wanted. There's no one pushing Wes Anderson and telling him, okay, no, I think we're doing this differently. He is keeping it his own way. You're never
mm,
going to get that studio involvement saying, no, it needs to have this, super happy ending, or no, you can't have that person say that. I feel like he's just totally in control.
yeah,
And it's not up there with the best of his, and I think the last few haven't been amazing.
mm,
But it's still definitely a thoroughly enjoyable watch from my end. I would definitely watch it again. There's some very laugh out loud moments, and as you said, this everything is so tight, and the fact that Benicio del Toro is so stoic, and most of his performances, they're never really fucking over the top.
mm,
His reactions to all this insane stuff that's going on, it's always so calm and stuff like that. Like, it's, as you said, or you see in the trailer, there's constant assassination attempts, and
yeah,
he's just so normal and non-panicked about them. Or the kid with the crossbow, fucking arrow comes down and stuff,
yeah,
and it's just
yeah,
real. It's just there's no proper reaction from him, and that's what makes it funnier.
mm,
And for yeah, the Threepleton, is that the surname?
yeah,
Um, like she only has pretty much one facial expression for the entire movie,
yeah.
and it's
She's
perfect.
incredible.
I thought she's wonderful. I haven't seen her in anything else. I thought she looked. When I first saw her, I thought she looked a little bit like Imogen Poots, and I was like,
Mm.
I thought that's who it was. But no, she's great, man. I really, really, I must see what else she's in so I can check it out, because I thought she was wonderful.
Yeah, no, she's really great. And just Michael Cera he's just fantastic. Like his Norwegian accent, which he said he didn't go to Norway for it or anywhere in Scandinavia. He just did it off YouTube. But it's just, I'd love to know or I'd love to see something behind the scenes and just see him act this out, just in raw footage. Because it must always be brave for an actor to try and do something like this, because his character is wonderful and goes places during the movie. But the trio of them just work so well together in those scenes. I
Yeah,
think like but Benicio del Toro, I think, is just he was just incredible. I loved his. It's just his kind of deadpan just suits Wes Anderson's movies perfectly. Where, as you were saying, where he just greets people and just offers them, "Would you want a free hand grenade?"
Yeah,
He's just
and everybody
fantastic.
has
He's
this,
just,
and everybody has the same reply. That's very kind. Like
oh, that's
every
very
single
kind. Oh,
person,
thank you.
that's very kind. And even like the and it's the what should we call it? As you said, each time he's meeting someone else and as part of his scheme, they so buy into it. You know that, as you said, because why else do you sign up for a Wes Anderson movie, a movie that's maybe getting paid whatever 25 billion? You know, Scarlett Johansson gets that money for fucking half an Avengers movie. Like they're all there to know. They all know what's expected of them and what part they're playing. And I thought each one was wonderful. Jeffrey Wright, I thought was fantastic.
Oh, he's great. Yeah.
He's brilliant, and it's each one that he comes across and meets. I found him to be absolutely wonderful. I would have liked to have more time. I didn't really care too much about Benedict Cumberbatch's kind of character that much compared to the others.
Benedict and Scarlett Johansson, I thought, were the two that, for different reasons, kind of came across not much flat, but I didn't. They weren't like. Yeah, I wasn't smiling as much as the other scenes. Scarlett Johansson, I just thought, those scenes were just flat. I didn't. I thought she was not so much underserved, but maybe just didn't really hit home for me. But Benedict Cumberbatch didn't really live up to his crazy eyebrows. It just kind of builds up to a kind of a fight chase scene or something like that. But it's like he's obviously having a fucking howl, but it didn't. I think like the standout definitely is Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks. It's just in this crazy, weird, and wonderful basketball game. But it's I would have loved a bit more of them. But just even with the whole premise and plot, like, what did you think about the whole thing with the shoe boxes and the grand master plan?
Like, again, it's just wild because that's what his movies are. They're nuts, and it's fun, but there's not enough. It wasn't really enough to kind of grab me in and kind of get on board with his plan to back him. Because that's what you kind of want, is something who's going, either it's an evil scheme or it's something positive, and it's his whole master plan to put it together for a legacy or whatever it happens to be. And you want him to see it through. Whereas I wasn't really caring about it that much. It didn't seem when he's explaining the scheme of what he wants to do, and obviously he's notorious around the world for always getting his 5%, and he's disrupting markets and all this kind of malarkey. But his whole scheme and what his plan is, when he's explaining it, I was like, is that it? Like, is that because he's talking about this is going to do this for the next 150 years and my legacy will be yours? And it's not really that, it's not really that interesting. It's more just a vehicle so that we can go and visit these individual groups, the Hanks and Cranston. It's just a vehicle so that we can move it on to the next location. I don't know. I didn't care about his reasons for doing it. I more just enjoyed each scene. The actual scenes were fantastic. The ones in the plane, great. Between the three of them, especially. Little just the stuff like that, I just really, really enjoyed. But the overall, his reasonings and his plan, I guess I wasn't really totally interested in.
Yeah, it didn't live up to the title, like the Court of Land and Sea Facetious Infrastructure Scheme. You're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And just that's the low point for me, that I didn't really, not being invested in it is, I guess, not the right way to say it. I just didn't really care, because no one's going to see a Wes Anderson film to really be like enthralled with the plot, and it's not overly heavily dramatic. It's a certain type of movie that you're going to see. But generally, with some of his, I mean, maybe not better movies, but it's the better ones for me, like Tenenbaums and Life Aquatic and stuff like that, you were invested and you did care about the characters and their motivations and the general plot. But this, every time the chapter cards came up, I wasn't engaged. I was like, I don't really care that now person's only given 15% instead of 20. Just like, this is not as intriguing.
Yeah,
as you think it is,
interesting.
Not at all. But I guess favorite moment for me that's not a spoiler is like the fact that they have a portable polygraph machine, which I think is one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in the movie.
Yeah,
The anti-lie detectoscope. It's just fucking, it's just
brilliant. Yeah,
brilliant. Like little moments like that are just the reason that you would watch it again, because there's so many of those little things. But do you have a favorite scene or favorite character?
I as much as I've harped on about me, Trippleton, it was Benicio del Toro for me. Because this is the most lines I think I've ever heard him speak in a movie. Um,
Yeah.
and I absolutely loved him. I love that whole take of how calm he is around the fact that he's had multiple assassination attempts, and we see it on the
Hmm.
plane, in the trailer actually, when Michael Cera comes out of the cabin and he's like
Hmm.
the oversized sticks of dynamite kind of
Yeah,
bomb
yeah,
with a
yeah.
clock, like real cartoon size, and he's like, is that supposed to be in there? And he's like, he's so calm as if this happens a million times before. He's like, I recognize that assassin. I think he used to work for me. Like, and
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
so
yeah.
blasé about it because he just keeps obviously surviving.
Yeah.
But no, I was wonderful to see him in a proper lead role. Um, and yeah, I was totally here for it. With regards to favorite scenes, I think, okay, obviously that was gorgeous looking, the overhead credit thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I think for pure bananas, yeah, it's the with the Bryan Cranston and thing that the basketball, it makes absolutely no sense, and it's really, they're messing with kind of how much time has passed, because they're playing this game of basketball, and then when they're cutting back into the train carriage, you're like, how the fuck are they on beer number 3? And they just had,
Just like, how long have they been playing horse and
yeah,
basketball for?
it was just, it's just so ridiculous, because the way the basketball hoop came from, it's basically, it's the back of the train thing. They just take it off and turn
It's
it
just
around.
like,
It's a hoop. Why?
that's
Why is
fucking
it there?
mad.
And yeah, it's there. It just feel like everyone's really enjoying themselves in that
Hmm.
scene. And
Yeah, no,
yeah, it was really
it
really
is great.
enjoyable.
But there's the things that, yeah, probably didn't like was, certain aspects of the plot, but there's this kind of afterlife scenes at
Yeah,
various points that they kind of fell flat for me as well, even though there's some amazing cameos in there. Um, yeah, didn't really, it didn't gel with me too much. How about yourself?
yeah. I'm not even entirely sure what the reasoning was
Hmm.
behind them. You know what I mean? Like, is it that, an Ebenezer Scrooge style thing where he had,
Hmm.
he sees all these different, and eventually he becomes a changed man or whatever? Because that's kind of thing. He's going, each time he goes up, he sees something about his daughter or about the way he's been living his life, and but it doesn't really feed into the plot that much. Not that I
Hmm.
felt, I didn't feel that they were adding or anything to it. It didn't seem to change his character that much. Having these kind of experiences, uh, they were, quirky looking. You can tell it's just done on a stage, almost like a kid's fucking play with the drawn down, pulled down background, painted
Yeah,
background.
yeah,
And it's like, it's Jesus, it's Willem Dafoe and it's Bill Murray there in those parts are A-listers and fantastic actors. I'm not really sure if it added anything for me. Maybe I missed something entirely. Someone listened to this saying, "Oh, this is the reason X, Y, and Z happened," but I didn't see any massive consequence of those scenes.
yeah. That's same for me. It was like the first one was like, okay, yeah, this is following an assassination attempt. That's fine. But as they kept on going on, I wasn't really understanding what the how it was progressing his character choices. I think that's what they were trying to get across. But yeah,
Yeah, I think so
didn't really work
too.
for me. It was
Yeah,
a
I think so.
bit.
I think that's what they were trying to say. But I didn't see that much of a change in his character to
Mm,
match up with what we were supposedly seeing in this thing. I didn't really work for me. And that's not to say they weren't cool and enjoyable spectacles and funny, but yeah, yeah, we could have done without them.
yeah, but yeah. So yeah, I guess we've ticked off pretty much everything. Like cinematography is just, it's mind blowing. That's
Yeah, it's
really what
impeccable.
you're coming here
Yeah,
to see. Music, nothing really stood out to me in terms of like iconic scenes, music scenes. Perfectly like the opening scene, as we've chatted about. The opening credit scene. I love that. Script wise, I mean, it's weird and wonderful, and it's Wes Anderson. Not at the peak of his powers, but there are a lot of moments that would make you come back and watch it again. I just think the central plot is just not as intriguing. It's not enough to to keep your interest in that. It's more about the sum of the parts.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. So if you wanted to give a star rating, what would you give it? I think this is a tricky one.
Yeah, I think I probably from our discussion so far, I think I'm probably going to come in a little higher than you. Like I think 3.5. I do because I there was so much of it that had me. Like I laughed out loud a lot through it. Like I thought there was some really funny part, especially the stuff checking for the poison, and it was so just a little drop that he puts in. It's just that's poison, take it away, and it's. I loved it. I loved every bit of that side of Benicio del Toro's thing. It's absolutely gorgeous. Cast is fantastic. It's really is gorgeous to look at, but yeah, so light on the actual plot to get, it didn't get me invested in his plan that I wanted to follow it and see what happened. In the end, I really didn't care if his plan worked or not. It was more just getting to get to these set pieces with these interesting characters. But yeah, no, I think I'm happy with 3.5 because I know I definitely would watch this again.
Yeah. I'd say 3 for me. I mean, there's no one like Wes Anderson, and no one makes movies like him. Like, he's truly a singular director with a distinct style and vision. And I just thinking this time it just comes up a little bit short for me. But again, I would watch it again. I think it's a very good 3-star movie with impeccable performances and just looks fucking phenomenal. Like, there's so many standout, iconic shots and sequences. And his mastery over the camera and camera movement and the cinematography is mind-blowing, and the costuming sets are always amazing. But yeah,
do you happen to know offhand what the budget was for this one?
Yeah, I think it was in around 30 million. Because most of his movies are in around that 25 to 30 million, and yeah, they always track well enough, and like they make money. Well, they come in around 50 or 60 million on average. But it's mad that he's such a big and well-known director, and his movies don't make more money than that. Because
I think maybe it is a style that just doesn't appeal to everyone. That kind of it's almost surreal in some parts of it. And but the thing is that these movies all become such cult classics. Like they'll become stuff that people will massively grow on and talk about for years. And maybe there's a lot of money for the the studios in DVD sales and all that kind of stuff, and word of mouth as it kind of gets older. Like I still know people who quote and talk about the Life Aquatic. It's fucking 20 years old.
Yeah.
So it's. I hope that he continues to get funding for these movies because they are just a joy of visual experience.
Absolutely, and like same for myself. Like Royal Tenenbaums is my entry point to him. I saw that, then Bottle Rocket. But that's still like it's such amazing memories of that, and that's like in terms of the plot and the emotional kind of connection and stuff. If people were saying, "Well, it's a Wes Anderson film; it's meant to be quirky and whatever," well, Tenenbaums, like, because that line, like, I've had a really rough year, Dad, and it's just like fucking hell, man. It's so dark and so emotional. It's just
and would you hear the kind of the stuff about Gene Hackman in that movie, like when Wes Anderson was saying like. He was furious. Like he was disgusted by the fact that he had to get everybody was getting a flat rate. And he was so angry. So they had like a falling out. They didn't after when the movie wrapped.
Didn't talk.
He just walked off. Like everybody was, you had your rap party, you had your that. He just walked off. He was disgusted by the whole thing. I think he just didn't get it. Whereas other people who were sign up to do these movies. If you're going to sign up for a movie that costs 30 million and you've got the list that you named off at the start, these are all massive stars. You're signing up because it's a Wes Anderson project, because it's that type of movie. But yeah, maybe for him, Wes Anderson only had a couple of movies out at that point, and so Gene Hackman's like, what the fuck, who I am?
This fucking weirdo. Tell me I have to stand here. Fuck you. But yeah, check it out and let us know what you thought of it. 3 to 3.5 stars from us. Well worth the watch. Yeah. So yeah, let's get into a few spoilers then. So my whole thing was kind of it's kind of style over substance. But like the opening scene was fantastic. I loved all the plane crashes or the attempted assassinations. But, but like the when I was talking about the afterlife scenes, I mean, it's like Bill Murray turns up as God, and it just didn't like if someone said to me you're going to see a Wes Anderson movie and spoiler Bill Murray says is cast as God, like that's far more interesting than what I saw. That just
Yeah.
felt so flat. And Willem Dafoe as well. It just didn't. Those scenes just really, really uh, didn't work for me at all. How about yourself? What was your favorite cameo?
Like it was fantastic. I think we barely didn't mention really Riz Ahmed that much, but I
Mm.
thought he was fantastic. I thought he was
Mm.
brilliant. But I think Michael, like as much as I enjoyed the different parts, I thought the two guys, Bryan Cranston and Tom Hanks, as I said, was my favorite part of it. But the cameo, I mean, as you said, Michael Cera feels like he should be,
It's incredible.
he's because it's not just his performance, his whole way about him. It's his physical look.
Yeah.
It's just that Wes Anderson film look that he has. But I just loved it, and I love the kind of change when he's explaining to them. They discover he's not really who he says he was,
Mm.
and he goes kind of off to the side. He goes, "Look, I can go off and I can come back. As if this is an act. I can go off and not be Bjorn anymore, and I'll come back." But it's pretty much exactly the same guy, and he just kind of
Yeah.
goes over, and you just see and you hear the note. You cuts back to the other two, and then you can just hear in the background the zipping and all this
Yeah.
funny
Yeah.
stuff going on, and then it cuts back to him, and he turns around, and the hair is now
It's just
different.
his
He's got
hair's
smoke
changed.
hanging out of his mouth. Smoke's hanging out of his mouth. The top's open. But his demeanor has changed completely, and now he's talking about how he's actually an American, and he's working for Rupert Friend and all the rest of them.
Mm.
And it's I loved it. I love the change, but he's still like the quality of his performances didn't change. Still brilliant.
Yeah.
I really really enjoyed him in this, and I haven't seen him in much recently, so it was great to see him in this.
Yeah, that was a standout. The fact that he was trying to play those two different characters that were
Yeah,
very, very similar. He's just fucking having a ball, but showing like his range, like that accent is just that was fucking phenomenal. That was probably the funniest part, and it's obviously it's played for laughs, but that was the funniest part for me. A lot of the other stuff, kind of get a chuckle or maybe a smile, but didn't really work that much for me. But for me, it's the central relationship between Benicio and Mia that it just doesn't quite hit when you get to the final reveal. And well, not the final reveal, the fact that he decides that he's going to spend his entire fortune to fix the gap in this funding for his project of his lifetime, as he calls it, and then it's going to bankrupt him, and then retires to a simpler life, running a bistro or something with his daughter. And it's just that should have more of not so much a punch, but it's a nice scene. But it's like that on paper, I'm sure hits much harder or hits better. But that just didn't really work for me. How about yourself?
yeah. Well, I agree in that. There's an earlier scene as well where because we kind of find out or we that he's not really her dad.
Mm.
We think for a while that it's actually his brother, but then it turns out it's like it's some other guy altogether. But he asks if he can adopt her, and at this point, supposedly the relationship has grown to the point where she goes yes, and she says yes. Right, she's delighted. She wants to get adopted by him. There hasn't, for me, there hadn't been enough happened or enough something built emotional connection to show why she would suddenly change.
Yeah.
He hadn't seen her since she was a child. They've like she's been in the church. She was going to be a nun, the whole time, and there hasn't been any warmth or anything in there that would suddenly make I felt that would make her want to be on board with all of a sudden them being happy families. Her suddenly start caring about him. It was just it's a pity because they're two fantastic performances and they're fun characters. I just don't think the relationship between them was written very well.
Same.
Or not thoroughly enough, at least.
Yeah, no, I'd echo that completely. That the relationship just didn't work as well in terms of that final scene. It didn't. Yeah, that progression just didn't work for me. But their performances were just fantastic. It's so frustrating. There's so much about this film that I really, really, really liked, but I think it's not. I wouldn't say it's forgettable, but I'm already kind of forgetting certain aspects of it. It just didn't hit home for me at all. But yeah, like 3 stars for me it's a really good 3 stars. I really wish it could have been a 4-star movie. Would you? Yeah, you'd recommend it to people?
Yeah, I would recommend it. Yeah, there's not really a massive like spoiler wise. There's not really a massive amount to go into it. Like it's because it's the performances for me more than the actual set pieces that we see. You know, especially the fact that it's hard to describe how gorgeous the scene looks. You know, because it's just they're all
Just
framed a
watch the
certain way, and
trailer.
it's yeah, and it's and if you're watching one of his movies, as you said, it's the quick camera movement. It's almost like it's a comic book pain. You know, that it's jumping around like it's kind of really need to see it. So there's not really much I can say that that I can stick in the spoiler section. Where a lot of times we'll have something massive for Don to shout out about.
Yeah, that's the main thing with notes and spoiler notes. I was like, can you spoil a Wes Anderson film? It's really like, yeah, you can't really describe how gorgeous something is. And even saw online that like it's not even like whether you like this movie is not exactly dependent on whether you like Wes Anderson movies or not, because there are many, like his fan base really like can be split on certain movies. So, like I know some people who love The Life Aquatic but just hate Royal Tenenbaums. You're kind of going, how the fuck is that possible? Because I love them both. It not so much that it's fractured, but people just like different aspects of different movies. Or as we're saying, this didn't really connect with us, but someone else might say, oh, I fucking loved that plot, and it just elevates that movie to a 4 or 4.5 easily. But for me, yeah, just wasn't as interested in the main plot, but everything surrounding it is fantastic. So do let us know what you think, if it's up there in some of his best movies or not.
Yeah, nice one, Daz. Thanks for taking us through that. We'll be back next week, and I'm hoping, along as schedule wise, that we're going to be back next week with Ballerina.
Oh yeah,
that's the next one up for us. So that just looks like it's going to be shitloads of fun. So I can imagine we'll be raving about that. But until then, as always, if you wouldn't mind, keep sharing, liking, commenting, all that stuff. You know, doesn't matter positive or negative, send it all our way. And look, we appreciate all the support, and we will see you on the next one. So take it easy.